Alright, so as I was looking at this, I realized that I made some mistakes. So I'm going to show you the mistakes I made, and the mistake that I tell you guys not to make all the time, you all not to make. If I go to my geometry and I look at my position, you'll see that my position is 3.959. It means it's not centered. Every one of these should be really close to the same. Yep, 3.96, 3.96, you know. So that means that if I mirror it, for example, it won't work correctly, or if I try and do the wrap mode on it, it won't work correctly. So if I look at this right here, and to show you, if you want to know if you're centered or whatever, if it's going to work when you mirror it, all you have to do is go over to this mirror and weld button, and if it's not centered in the world, it's going to mirror, since everything's based off the world in ZBrush, it's going to mirror the object either longer or shorter, depending on where it thinks it is. So if it's 0.3 negative, it's going to come out here, and that means it's going to be, instead of just this long, it's going to be twice as long. So if I push it, you'll see. Bam. Okay, so I could fix it in here and move it around, but it doesn't fix it unless I find a way to collapse it down. So rather than do that dance, we're just going to go into Max, where we're used to working anyway really fast, and let's go into there. If we look at our stuff in Max and we grab any of these, you're going to see it's 0.377 centimeters. Now it's a little bit different number than ZBrush has that because of the way ZBrush imports models, but don't worry about that. We just need to fix them. And we're going to grab them all and just say 0. So now they're zeroed out. How do I know? If I click on one, it says 0. That's all I need to do. So the other thing I want to do real quick inside of here is when I do a Dynamesh inside of ZBrush, it doesn't like these planes. So I'm going to go ahead and give it some thickness real quick. So when I do caps it, it doesn't destroy the mesh. So I'm going to pull it out just a little bit. Then I'm going to say okay. I'm going to pull this one out just a little bit. Okay. Pull this one out. It should be fine, but I want to give it some distance here too. So I'm going to pull this one out just a little bit. It should be okay. And then we'll do the same thing for this one. Just enough where ZBrush will give it some thickness to it and not make that disappear like you saw before. Super easy stuff. Didn't change the models much. Didn't change the unwrap because we aren't really unwrapping this. And then we're going to export these, just those selected objects, call it trim bottom, export, save, go. Okay, so we'll go back into ZBrush. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to import them back in. So Z plugin, we're going to say import, we're going to say trim bottom and open. And then we're going to, of course, have to come in here and do this texture map, turn it off, go down, turn it off, go down, turn it off, go down, turn it off. And then we're done. I do also want to select this one, go back up to my subtool and move it to the right position because it's driving me bonkers. Then I'm going to take all of these, this one, and say new folder. I'm going to call this correct trim. Okay, so, and then I'm going to drag these all in here. So these are all great. Let's make sure. We'll take a look at their geometry, and the position is 0, 0, 0, 0. So these are all set up correctly. Now we just have to get these together with the other ones, right? Well, contrary to what you might think, it's actually, you don't want to bring these into the old one. Because if you bring these into the old one, they change their center position off the master, the one that you're bringing them into. Sucks, huh? So we're going to want to come into our made bricks. And really all we want is the bricks. And we're not even going to worry if the center point is off on the bricks because we know that these are set up correctly. So I'll show you what I mean when we get there. But since they're in a folder, it makes our life really, really easy. All we have to do is select that folder, go to the gear icon in the folder options, and say merge folder. And it doesn't actually merge the originals, it just merges a new version of them. So now I have one object, and if I look at it, they're all separate. And actually, let me see something here. I might have done this already, but yeah, make sure that you go turn off your Dynamesh before you merge them. I don't think it's going to matter, but there's a chance that it could screw it up. Okay, so now we have this separate one right here, and we just select it, go back to our trim float and say insert and come to our 15, and there it is. And that's whatever we have selected in this one will be merged into here. So now I've got those set up, and if we look at it really close here, let me do this here, you can see that right at the end of this one is when this one picks up. So it's perfect. It stayed fine. And now we can come back to this one and do some non-smooth geometry. Divide, delete, and then come down to Dynamesh, change it to 1200, turn our blur off, and say Dynamesh. And once we do that, we can test it real quick. We'll do Control or Alt D for my Damien brush and just go across and see if it works. Yeah, because really what we want is these to work. And now that I have that thickness to it, now it doesn't do that weirdness either. I don't have that hole. So I'm going to go back to sculpting and I'll turn off the audio and speed it up. I'm going to put this up top here just so it feels like it's in the same order. And then I'll come to this. Hide this, go solo, like this, turn off my thing. And now I'm going to sculpt and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so now that we have this basic stuff laid out and we've cleaned it up, the last thing I need to do is get my ore brushes out and do some cracky stuff. Maybe I could do some more work, but I'll just let you watch me do some more work, and then that'll be the end of it. Basically, sculpt out your stuff and get it ready for baking. Everything but this. We don't need this. Okay, and that's it.